Most people think confidence is loud, performance, bravado, status. Stoicism teaches the opposite. Real confidence is quiet, rooted, unshakable, because it doesn't depend on applause. If you've been fighting self-doubt, if life keeps testing you, this is for you. These are 10 Stoic lessons that build confidence the right way, through self-mastery, clarity, and inner peace. If you want more like this, support the work. Like the video, share it with someone who needs steadiness, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming. Let's begin. Understanding true self-confidence in modern life. Confidence is treated like a costume. People mistake it for arrogance, for bravado, for external proof, money, status, recognition. But Stoicism draws a hard line. True confidence is internal. It comes from knowing yourself and accepting yourself without needing the world to approve it. Stoic confidence isn't about controlling others, it's about governing yourself. Epictetus made it plain: no one is free who is not master of himself. Confidence is not control over life, it's control over your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, and reactions. Because once you master that, external circumstances can't shake you. Think of how many people feel confident only when they're praised, only when they're winning, only when they look successful to others. That kind of confidence is fragile. It collapses under criticism. It breaks under failure. It dies under comparison. Stoicism builds a different kind, confidence that survives reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That is the foundation. You can't control other people's opinions. You can't control outcomes. You can't control what happens in the world, but you can control your response. And when your confidence is rooted in that, you don't need the world to cooperate, to feel stable. Look at the people who seem truly confident. It's rarely because of what they own or what others say about them. It's their self-assurance, their calm under pressure, their ability to stay aligned with their values. That's Stoic confidence. One powerful way to build it is self-reflection. The Stoics believed regular examination builds self-awareness, and self-awareness builds strength. When you reflect on your values, your strengths, your weaknesses, you see yourself clearly. And when you see yourself clearly, confidence becomes grounded, not imagined. Think about a time you faced something difficult. You felt unsure. You worried what others would think. You feared the outcome. But when you stepped back and remembered your values and focused on what you could control, calm returned. That is Stoic confidence, doing your best without needing certainty. Another pillar is accepting failure and imperfection. Most people lose confidence because they fear mistakes. They fear falling short. Stoicism rejects that fear. Failure is part of life, and it's an instructor. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult." Fear holds you back more than failure does. Confidence grows when you build the habit of facing challenges anyway, learning from mistakes, and moving forward without self-betrayal. Thomas Edison failed thousands of times before the light bulb worked, and his perspective was simple: not failure, feedback. That is Stoic strength, endurance without self-pity. So here's the truth. True confidence is not external validation. It's internal mastery. It's living by your values. It's controlling your mind. It's embracing failure as part of growth. When you stop letting others define your worth, you become resilient, grounded, and unshakable, knowing and living according to your personal beliefs. One of the strongest sources of confidence is this: living in alignment with what you believe. Stoicism teaches that inner strength grows when your actions match your principles. When you know what you stand for and you live it, confidence stops being something you try to feel. It becomes something you are. Many people struggle with confidence for one reason: they don't have a firm sense of self. So they drift. They get pulled by opinions. They get bent by expectations. They start living a life designed to be accepted, and that creates weakness. Not because they are incapable, but because they are divided. Epictetus warned against this kind of instability. Know first who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly. That is Stoic confidence. Not loud, not performative, clear. Because when your choices come from your values, you don't need external approval to feel secure. Living according to your personal beliefs protects you from the uncertainty that comes from trying to please everyone. When your actions align with your principles, you stop measuring yourself through other people's eyes. You don't need to constantly ask, was that good enough? Did they approve? Did I look right? You already know. You're aligned. Consider a person faced with a difficult decision, a high-paying job that violates their ethics versus a modest job that honors their values. The confident person is not the one with the biggest salary. The confident person is the one who can choose integrity without trembling. Because their confidence is not built on status, it's built on truth. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Your beliefs shape your thoughts. Your thoughts shape your choices. Your choices shape your life." If your life is built on superficial values, fame, approval, recognition, your confidence will always be fragile, because those things are unstable and outside your control. But if your life is built on principles, integrity, discipline, purpose, confidence strengthens because you become someone you can respect. Living by your beliefs also means standing firm under criticism. There will always be people who disagree with your values or try to redirect you. But when your beliefs are clear, you stop being easily moved. Seneca taught that criticism should not shake you when you know you are living by principle. Confidence doesn't mean you will never face doubt. It means you trust yourself enough to keep choosing your values even when others disapprove. Here's a simple daily example. Imagine you adopt a minimalist lifestyle, not as a trend, but because you value simplicity, sustainability, and intention. Friends may question you, family may not understand, but their opinions don't decide your path. If your choice is aligned with what matters to you, you stay calm, you stay firm, because you're not living for their expectations. Another part of this lesson is that confidence grows through small decisions, not only major ones. You don't need life-altering choices to practice alignment. Every day gives you opportunities. If kindness is one of your values, you build confidence by acting with kindness consistently, even when it's inconvenient. If discipline is your value, you build confidence by keeping your word to yourself, especially when no one is watching. These small acts reinforce identity, and identity is the root of confidence. Self-reflection matters here. The Stoics believed regular reflection is essential because it keeps you aligned with what you claim to believe. Journaling, like Marcus Aurelius practiced, forces honesty. It helps you assess, did I act with integrity today? Did I compromise myself to be liked? Did I choose comfort over principle? This isn't self-criticism, it's self-governance. And self-governance builds strength. In conclusion, knowing and living according to your personal beliefs is a foundational Stoic lesson for confidence. When you are clear on what you stand for and you live it daily, you become stable. Stoicism teaches that confidence doesn't come from achievement or approval. It comes from authenticity, from alignment, from inner principles that do not change with the crowd. Practice reflection, stand firm, choose your values daily, and your confidence will stop being fragile. It will become permanent, focusing on what truly matters. One of the core Stoic disciplines is learning what deserves your attention and what does not. Most people lose confidence not because they are weak, but because their focus is scattered. They chase noise, they react to distractions, they invest energy in things that do not last. Stoicism teaches a different rule. Confidence grows when your attention is disciplined. In a world filled with constant stimulation, social media, status games, endless comparison, it's easy to confuse movement with progress. But activity without direction erodes confidence. Epictetus stated it clearly. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants. This isn't about poverty. It's about clarity. When you focus on what truly matters, your character, your growth, your values, external achievements lose their power to destabilize you. Confidence comes from knowing your energy is being spent where it counts. Focusing on what matters also requires filtering. The Stoics were ruthless about this. Marcus Aurelius asked himself constantly, is this necessary? That question cuts through illusion. How much time is lost worrying about opinions? How much energy is wasted on comparison? How many decisions are driven by appearances rather than purpose? Distraction weakens confidence because it pulls you away from your inner compass. When your attention is fragmented, your sense of direction collapses. But when your focus is aligned with your values, you move with certainty. Seneca warned that life is not short. We simply waste much of it. Confidence grows when you respect your time, when you invest it in what builds you instead of what drains you. Consider someone pursuing a meaningful goal but constantly distracted by validation, approval, or fear of judgment. They feel busy but unfulfilled. The Stoic response is simple. Pause and ask, does this serve my values? If the answer is no, it's noise. Let it go. Focusing on what matters also means prioritizing inner peace. Stoicism teaches that confidence rooted in external success will always be unstable. External outcomes change, approval shifts, circumstances turn. But inner peace, when cultivated deliberately, creates confidence that survives uncertainty. Practices like reflection, simplicity, and presence are not luxuries. They are stabilizers. When your mind is clear, your decisions become firm. The Stoics also emphasized letting go of what you cannot control. Epictetus was uncompromising here. Focus on your thoughts, actions, and choices. Release everything else. Confidence grows when you stop fighting reality. When you stop trying to control outcomes, you regain control over yourself. Many people feel anxious about the future because they attempt to manage what cannot be managed. The Stoic redirects that energy inward to preparation, discipline, and response. That shift alone builds confidence. You know you've done what you can, and that is enough. In conclusion, focusing on what truly matters is essential for Stoic confidence. When your attention aligns with your values, when distractions lose authority, when inner peace becomes the priority, confidence stops being fragile. It becomes steady, because you are no longer living reactively. You are living deliberately. Practicing self-reflection. Self-reflection is one of the most powerful tools for building real confidence. Stoicism places heavy emphasis on this practice because confidence without self-knowledge is unstable. If you don't understand your own mind, you are easily ruled by it. The Stoics believed that regular self-examination was not optional. It was discipline. Seneca recommended ending each day with reflection, asking yourself what you did well, where you fell short, and how you could improve. Not to punish yourself, not to shame yourself, but to learn. He wrote, "Each day I sit in judgment on myself." This kind of reflection builds confidence because it creates honesty. When you know your strengths, you don't need to pretend. When you know your weaknesses, you don't fear exposure. You are grounded in reality. Self-reflection gives you a clear internal map. Instead of feeling lost or uncertain, you know where you stand and where you're going. That clarity is strength. Reflection also reveals patterns. Many people repeat the same mistakes not because they are incapable, but because they are unaware. Stoicism teaches awareness before change. When you notice that you react defensively, avoid responsibility, or hesitate out of fear, you gain choice, and choice restores control. One of the core Stoic principles is focusing only on what is within your control. Self-reflection helps you apply this principle daily. After a difficult situation, a Stoic asks, "Did I respond with reason? Did I focus on what I could control? Or did I surrender to emotion?" This process trains composure. Marcus Aurelius constantly examined his own thoughts because he understood something critical. Your thoughts shape your experience of life. He wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When you reflect regularly, you catch destructive thinking early. Self-doubt, catastrophizing, self-judgment. Instead of letting those thoughts erode confidence, you challenge them. You replace distortion with truth. Self-reflection also keeps you aligned with your values. Confidence weakens when your actions drift away from who you claim to be. Reflection pulls you back. It forces you to ask, did I act with integrity today? Did I choose comfort over principle? Did I live intentionally or reactively? This alignment is critical because confidence is not believing you are perfect. It is knowing you are honest with yourself. One of the most practical Stoic tools for reflection is journaling. Marcus Aurelius used writing not to perform wisdom, but to refine his character. Writing slows the mind. It exposes inconsistency. It clarifies intention. Over time, it becomes a record of growth, and growth builds confidence. Consider a real situation. You're preparing for something important. An interview, a presentation, a difficult conversation. Anxiety appears. Instead of letting it dominate, you reflect. Why am I anxious? What is actually at stake? What have I handled successfully before? That reflection grounds you. It replaces fear with perspective, and perspective strengthens confidence. In conclusion, practicing self-reflection is essential to Stoic confidence. It builds awareness. It breaks destructive patterns. It keeps you aligned with your values. Through daily reflection, whether through journaling or quiet review, you become someone who learns, instead of repeats. And confidence grows naturally when you trust your ability to correct yourself. Building resilience. Resilience is not toughness for show. It is steadiness under pressure. Stoicism treats resilience as essential because life does not ask permission before it tests you. Setbacks arrive, loss appears, plans break. Confidence is not built by avoiding these moments. It is built by meeting them correctly. Epictetus was direct. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. You cannot control events. You can control response. And that distinction is the foundation of resilience. Stoic resilience does not deny pain. It does not pretend difficulty is easy. It accepts reality without surrendering strength. Marcus Aurelius captured this perfectly. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Obstacles are not interruptions to life. They are part of it. Each challenge is training. Each setback is resistance, and resistance builds strength. Consider a common blow, losing a job. For many, this feels like failure. Identity collapses, confidence drains. Stoicism reframes the event. You didn't lose your worth. You lost a circumstance. What remains under your control is how you respond next. Your preparation, your attitude, your discipline. Resilience turns crisis into recalibration. Another Stoic practice that builds resilience is premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of difficulty. This is not pessimism, it is preparedness. The Stoics understood that hardship is normal. By mentally rehearsing difficulty, you are less shaken when it arrives. When adversity shows up, you don't panic. You recognize it. This practice removes shock, and shock is what breaks most people. Think of an athlete training for a marathon. They expect fatigue, they anticipate pain, they prepare for it. Because of that, they endure. Life is no different. Resilience also depends on mindset. Seneca warned, "A man is as miserable as he thinks he is." Your interpretation determines your endurance. If you see hardship as injustice, you weaken. If you see it as instruction, you adapt. Stoicism trains the mind to treat difficulty as information, not as a verdict. Emotional resilience matters here. You will feel anger, fear, frustration. Stoicism does not deny emotion, it disciplines it. Epictetus advised, "Make the best use of what is in your power, and take the rest as it happens. Feel what you feel, but do not let emotion decide your actions." Emotional control is not suppression, it is sovereignty. Real resilience shows itself quietly. It is the person who continues without drama, who adapts instead of collapsing, who rebuilds without bitterness. Consider someone facing illness or loss. Stoic resilience does not say, "This shouldn't have happened." It says, "This has happened. What is the right response now?" That mindset preserves dignity, and dignity builds confidence. In conclusion, resilience is a Stoic cornerstone of confidence. When you accept adversity as inevitable, focus on what you can control and discipline your response. You become difficult to break. Life may apply pressure, but pressure does not destroy strength. It reveals it. Embracing learning and curiosity. Confidence does not come from knowing everything. It comes from knowing you can keep learning. Stoicism treats wisdom as the highest good, and wisdom requires humility. The moment you believe you already know enough, growth stops, and confidence begins to decay. Epictetus warned plainly, "It is impossible for a man to learn what he thinks he already knows." This is not an attack on intelligence. It is a warning against arrogance disguised as certainty. Stoic confidence is not rigid, it is adaptive. It understands that life is change and growth depends on curiosity. Many people feel insecure because they fear the unknown. They fear making mistakes. They fear looking inexperienced. They fear not being in control. Stoicism reverses this. The unknown is not a threat, it is a training ground. When you approach life with curiosity instead of fear, uncertainty stops undermining confidence. It strengthens it. Consider someone entering a new role or learning a new skill. At first, discomfort appears. Not knowing feels exposed. But the Stoic response is not withdrawal. It is engagement. You ask questions. You observe. You absorb. Confidence grows through competence, and competence grows through learning. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself constantly of life's instability and impermanence, not to create despair, but to cultivate flexibility. When you accept that everything is in flux, you stop demanding certainty from yourself. You become willing to grow in public, to adapt, to improve. Stoicism values continuous self-improvement. Seneca wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." Confidence deepens when you commit to this mindset. You are no longer threatened by correction. You are no longer embarrassed by gaps in knowledge. You are no longer paralyzed by unfamiliar terrain. Curiosity also requires the courage to ask. Many people avoid questions because they confuse silence with strength. Stoicism rejects that. Asking questions is not weakness. It is discipline. It signals that you value truth more than ego. This is why Socrates, who deeply influenced Stoic thought, asked relentlessly, not to appear clever, but to understand. Confidence grows when your identity is not tied to appearing competent at all times. It grows when your identity is tied to learning. Curiosity also means challenging your own beliefs. Stoic wisdom is not blind loyalty to old ideas. It is constant refinement. When evidence changes, the Stoic adjusts. This flexibility is strength. Rigid minds break under pressure. Adaptive minds endure. Think of learning a new skill, an instrument, a language, a craft. Early attempts feel awkward. Progress is slow. But each small improvement builds quiet confidence. Life works the same way. Growth compounds. Stoicism also emphasizes learning about yourself. Self-knowledge is not optional, it is foundational. Marcus Aurelius urged, "Look within. Within is the fountain of good." When you understand your patterns, your values, your limits, you navigate life with steadiness. You stop guessing who you are, and that certainty breeds confidence. In conclusion, embracing learning and curiosity is essential to Stoic confidence. Not because it makes you knowledgeable, but because it makes you adaptable. Confidence does not come from having all the answers. It comes from trusting your ability to learn your way forward. Practicing mindfulness and presence. Confidence weakens when your mind is never where you are, pulled into the past, anxious about the future, scattered across distractions. Stoicism teaches a simple discipline: be fully present, not as a trend, as control. Mindfulness, in the Stoic sense, is not escaping life. It is engaging it without distortion. Marcus Aurelius gave the instruction clearly: confine yourself to the present, because the present moment is the only place where action exists. Many people lose confidence because they live mentally ahead of themselves, imagining failure, rejection, or loss before anything has happened. Stoicism cuts this pattern off. You cannot control the future, you cannot rewrite the past, but you can govern your attention now, and attention is power. When you are present, you stop feeding fear. Epictetus warned that discontent grows when the mind is always elsewhere. If you are never satisfied with what is here, nothing ahead will satisfy you either. Presence builds confidence because it stabilizes perception. You stop exaggerating threats. You stop shrinking yourself mentally. You meet reality as it is. Mindfulness also sharpens performance. When you give full attention to what you are doing, a conversation, a task, a decision, you act with clarity. Seneca put it simply, to be everywhere is to be nowhere. Scattered focus creates weak results. Focused presence creates competence, and competence strengthens confidence. Consider a moment of pressure, a presentation, a difficult conversation, a test. Anxiety pulls the mind forward. What if I fail? What if I'm judged? Mindfulness redirects attention to breathing, to posture, to what is actually happening. This grounding stabilizes emotion. You respond instead of react. Stoicism also teaches that presence allows emotional regulation. Emotions are not enemies, but unchecked, they take command. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Mindfulness is how that power is exercised. When fear, anger, or doubt arise, you notice them without surrendering to them. This space between stimulus and response is where confidence lives. Another Stoic practice tied to mindfulness is gratitude, not forced positivity, clear awareness. Epictetus advised rejoicing in what is present rather than grieving what is absent. Gratitude grounds you in sufficiency, and sufficiency creates confidence. You stop feeling behind. You stop feeling deprived. You stop chasing validation to feel whole. Mindfulness also exposes destructive thinking. Marcus Aurelius observed that the mind becomes colored by its thoughts. When you are present, you catch negative narratives early, self-doubt, catastrophizing, comparison, and you correct them before they harden into belief. A simple practice is breath. When overwhelmed, return attention to breathing, not to escape, but to anchor. Breath pulls the mind back into the body. The body pulls you back into now, and now is manageable. In conclusion, practicing mindfulness and presence is a Stoic foundation for confidence. When you stay anchored in the present, you stop being ruled by fear, distraction, and imagined futures. You act with clarity, you regulate emotion, you move deliberately. Presence does not make life easier, it makes you steadier, and steadiness is confidence. Clear vision. Confidence weakens when direction is unclear. You can work hard, stay busy, and still feel uncertain, because effort without vision creates noise, not momentum. Stoicism teaches that confidence grows when you know where you're going and why you're going there. Marcus Aurelius warned that labor without purpose is a quiet form of waste. Working hard is not enough. Movement alone is not progress. Vision gives effort meaning. When you have a clear sense of purpose, rooted in values, not vanity, your decisions become simpler. Doubt loses power because your direction is no longer negotiable. Epictetus advised, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. That is Stoic clarity. Before action comes identity. Before speed comes direction. Many people feel insecure because they are pulled in too many directions. They chase opportunities without asking whether those opportunities align with their values. Without vision, every option feels tempting, and every choice creates anxiety. Clear vision eliminates this. It acts as a filter. When you know your values and long-term aims, you stop reacting to distractions. You stop measuring yourself against others' paths. You move forward with certainty because your path is yours. Seneca captured this perfectly. If one does not know to which port one is sailing, no wind is favorable. Without direction, even good opportunities confuse you. With direction, obstacles lose their power to derail you. Clear vision also strengthens decision-making. When faced with choices, money versus meaning, comfort versus integrity, vision removes hesitation. You no longer ask, what looks best? You ask, what aligns? That alignment is confidence. Self-reflection plays a key role here. The Stoics regularly revisited their values to ensure their actions stayed aligned. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily of what mattered most, so he would not be pulled off course by pressure or praise. Vision is not set once, it is clarified repeatedly. Another Stoic tool for vision is deliberate visualization, not fantasy, orientation. You imagine the kind of person you aim to become, the principles you refuse to compromise, the life you want to stand behind. This mental clarity guides action in the present. Vision also requires knowing your values. Values are your internal compass. When you are clear on them, integrity, discipline, purpose, choices become cleaner. Epictetus urged focusing only on what is within your control, your judgments, your actions, your commitments. When your vision is built on those foundations, confidence follows naturally. In conclusion, clear vision is essential to Stoic confidence. When you know where you're headed and why it matters, you stop drifting, you focus, you decide, you move with intention. Clarity removes confusion, and where confusion ends, confidence begins. Cultivating a positive mindset. Confidence is shaped long before action. It is shaped by thought. Stoicism teaches that the quality of your life follows the quality of your thinking. Marcus Aurelius stated it plainly. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. This is not optimism for comfort, it is mental discipline. Most people believe confidence comes from success. Stoicism reverses the order. Your mindset determines how you experience success, failure, and everything between. If your thoughts are dominated by fear, self-doubt, or comparison, confidence cannot stabilize. But when your thinking is constructive, grounded, and intentional, confidence becomes durable. Epictetus captured this principle. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Events are neutral. Interpretation gives them weight. A positive Stoic mindset does not deny difficulty. It reframes it. Challenges become information. Obstacles become training. Setbacks become instruction. This reframing is not self-deception. It is clarity. One of the most practical Stoic tools here is reframing. When something goes wrong, the Stoic asks, "What is this teaching me? What remains in my control? How can this refine me?" By changing interpretation, you change experience. Consider public speaking. Many fear it because they frame it as judgment. What if I fail? What if they criticize me? The Stoic reframes it as practice, an opportunity to speak, an opportunity to sharpen skill. The fear loses authority. Seneca warned against living in anticipation of imagined disaster. The greatest obstacle to living is expectancy, which hangs upon tomorrow and loses today. A positive Stoic mindset stays anchored in the present. You deal with what is real, not with imagined futures that drain confidence. Gratitude is another pillar, not forced gratitude, clear awareness. Marcus Aurelius regularly reminded himself of what was still intact: health, reason, opportunity. Gratitude shifts attention from deficiency to sufficiency, and sufficiency builds confidence. You stop feeling behind, you stop measuring yourself constantly, you act from steadiness rather than lack. Managing negative thoughts is also essential. Stoicism does not suppress thought, it examines it. Epictetus advised turning inward when offended or unsettled. Ask, is this thought useful? Is it accurate? Is it within my control? Most negative thoughts collapse under scrutiny. By questioning them, you remove their authority. Imagine facing a demanding project and thinking, I can't handle this. A Stoic challenges the thought, what evidence supports this? What past experiences contradict it? Perspective replaces panic. A positive mindset also requires acceptance. Life will bring both success and failure. Seneca reminded us, difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. When you accept hardship as part of growth, fear loosens its grip. You stop resisting reality, and resistance is what drains confidence. In conclusion, a positive Stoic mindset is not naive optimism, it is disciplined perception. By controlling interpretation, practicing gratitude, reframing difficulty, and questioning destructive thoughts, you build a mental environment where confidence can survive. Thought shapes experience, and when thought is governed, confidence follows. Stoic leadership, mastery before influence. Most people misunderstand leadership. They associate it with authority, charisma, position. Stoicism teaches something deeper. True leadership begins with self-mastery. Epictetus was clear, no man is free who is not master of himself. If you cannot govern your own thoughts, emotions, and reactions, you are not leading, you are reacting. Stoic leadership is not about commanding others. It is about setting an internal standard and living it consistently. Self-discipline is the foundation. A leader ruled by emotion is easily destabilized by pressure. A Stoic leader cultivates calm, not because situations are easy, but because composure is a responsibility. Marcus Aurelius embodied this. As emperor, surrounded by chaos and conflict, he returned again and again to the same discipline: clarity, restraint, justice. Leadership is tested most when circumstances are difficult. Integrity is the next pillar. A Stoic leader does not separate words from actions. There is no public face and private contradiction. Seneca wrote, "You must live for others if you wish to live for yourself." Leadership is not self-promotion, it is service. When actions align with principles, trust forms naturally. People follow not because they are forced, but because consistency creates credibility. Consider a modern leader faced with a difficult decision: layoffs, restructuring, pressure from above. A Stoic leader does not hide. They act transparently, ethically, and deliberately. Even when outcomes are painful, integrity preserves authority. Humility is also essential. Stoicism rejects the illusion of omniscience. Epictetus advised knowing yourself first, your strengths, your limits. A Stoic leader does not pretend to have all the answers. They listen, they learn, they remain open. This humility does not weaken authority, it strengthens it. People trust leaders who are grounded enough to admit uncertainty without losing direction. Another key Stoic discipline is neutrality toward praise and criticism. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Receive without pride, let go without attachment." A leader who chases praise becomes dependent. A leader who fears criticism becomes reactive. Stoic leadership remains centered. Feedback is information, not identity. This emotional resilience keeps leadership steady under pressure. Stoicism also emphasizes empathy. not emotional indulgence, understanding. Seneca reminded us, wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. A Stoic leader considers the human cost of decisions. They listen without being overwhelmed. They act with firmness and compassion in balance. This creates loyalty, not fear. Finally, Stoic leadership is about contribution. Leadership is not personal glory, it is usefulness. Epictetus taught that a meaningful life is one spent being valuable to others. When leadership is grounded in service, confidence follows naturally. You know why you act, you know who you serve, you know what you stand for. In conclusion, Stoic leadership is quiet strength. It begins with self-command. It is sustained by integrity. It is guided by humility. It is stabilized by emotional discipline. And it is fulfilled through service. When you master yourself first, you gain the authority to guide others without force. That is Stoic leadership. Confidence isn't built overnight. It's built through discipline, clarity, and repetition. Stoicism isn't about appearing strong. It's about becoming unshakable. Everything you've learned here points to one truth. When you master your mind, life loses its power to unsettle you. This is NexusMind, a place for calm strength, for disciplined thinking, for people who value control over noise. If this sharpened your perspective, stay with us. Subscribe to NexusMind and continue building clarity, resilience, and quiet confidence, one principle at a time. Until next time, remain steady, choose wisely, and guard your inner world.